Hey, we're live. Live. How is everybody doing?
Pretty good, sir.
Good.
Excellent.
We'll wait just a little bit to see if we can get somebody on here, and then we will get started with the show. Hold on. This is what we'll do, Steven. Let's go share this real quick,
Yeah, good idea.
and we'll get it going. Jeremy, go share it, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy.
One person is here. Hello, one person.
Is that us?
Oh, maybe yes. Dang it.
We're watching ourselves.
Yes. Hey, we're live.
Oh, shit.
How is everybody doing?
Volume go away.
Let's see here.
Share.
Where are you sharing that from?
The Screen Addicts regular page.
Oh.
Yeah, because on the Screen Addicts regular page, I'm able to see who the actual comments are.
Sounds good.
So,
Oh, there it goes live, yeah.
how is everybody doing? Pretty good, sir. The Screen Addicts. And then I will share it to the Screen Addicts fanatics.
Let's get a little music-y. That's better.
Do I share it to group?
Just share it to your page.
Yeah.
I just shared it to our group.
Okay.
There's 7 people on. Hello, people.
Shared and muted.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Jeremy. Eyes up. Focus.
Jeremy's gonna nod off.
Clear eyes. Full hearts.
No,
All right.
Did you just nod off?
maybe.
It's a possibility. All right, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight. Welcome to the Screen Addicts podcast. I, as always, am one of your hosts, Lin Man Viegas.
I am Alexander Hamilton or Steve Sosa.
I'm Jeremy, and I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
He's not. He's not everyone.
Nope.
He's really
Nope.
not.
No.
Like, for real.
So what Ghostbusters weapon do you prefer, Jeremy? The Ectoblaster or the Splooge Spiller from Ghostbusters 2?
Oh,
Probably
don't
just-
act like you know. You know.
We'll
There-
just mind open. Let it go.
He doesn't
Just-
want to say splooge.
Yeah.
We'll keep it clean this episode, huh?
Let the mind wander.
Anyways, so tonight we are riding the music wave, as we will be talking later about our favorite musical movies, because there is a huge movie out right now that Jeremy will never watch.
Hell no.
Steven has probably watched it more than once, right?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Once and a half.
And you
Once and a
saw
half.
the Broadway. You saw it on Broadway.
No,
though,
I
didn't-
never
you didn't?
I never got to.
Oh.
The closest we got to was a traveling theater show that came to the Fox Theater in Atlanta. That was the closest opportunity we had, and that show sold out in minutes, so we didn't even get a chance to go to that one. But
Yeah.
But we are talking about the musical Broadway show, now turned to Disney Plus movie extravaganza, Hamilton. So because that is such a huge hit right now, we decided to talk about our favorite musicals, which Jeremy's list will be short.
Mm-hmm.
But me and Steven, I mean, that's more Steven's wheelhouse than mine because the man's in musicals in his local theater when they are open, right?
My fair share, yes.
And I dig them. So, anyways, but let's get the show rolling. We will start talking about what we've been watching. And maybe, just maybe, we mentioned something that you need to start watching. So, Jeremy, go ahead, man. What you been watching?
Oh, okay. I got a few things this week. First and foremost, I came across the director's cut of Dr. Sleep. It's got 30 minutes of extra footage that wasn't seen in theaters. And that extra 30 minutes puts that movie on the level with The Shining, finally.
Ooh,
Good.
It's 3 hours and 5 minutes long, which it's really long, but it's worth it because it makes that movie really good.
Is it worth it? Sorry.
He's already in the music, people.
I am.
Yeah, I know.
Chris threatened to sing this entire episode, by the way.
And he probably will.
It'll be damn close.
And then I came across this movie from 2018 that Lars von Trier wrote and directed. And if you don't know anything about Lars von Trier, he's a weird filmmaker. He does some weird movies. And this was no exception. It's called The House That Jack Built. And it's about this serial killer that's confessing all of the people he's killed this person. And he's pretty much the narrator, and the movie goes through everybody he's killed. And, you know, it's a good watch. It's 2.5 hours long. It's really long. And but it ends up really good. It's a good movie. And then I watched this Western, if you want to call it a Western. It's called The Wild Bunch. It came out in 1969. Whoa. And it was said that it's one of the most violent movies of that year, and I can understand it. It was pretty violent. It was pretty bloody for that time. And John Wayne said that movie killed the Western franchise. And I look at that.
John Wayne, no.
Hey, Pilgrim.
And wait. I just look at that, and that movie came out at the time when the Western franchise in itself was on its way out, and the 70s was about to begin. So that was just that.
My question is, why were you trying to determine whether The Wild Bunch was like you were questioning if it was a Western? It's literally set in the Old West.
I mean, did they have hoverboards and
it was
trains that went back in time?
Dude,
it was like cowboys and aliens.
It's got pump shotguns and cars in a Western. I mean, and semi-automatic pistols. You don't see that in Westerns.
It's a good time. You didn't see Doc Holliday carrying one of those?
No. And if he had a pump shotgun, he would have killed a lot of people.
Yeah, he would have.
He already did kill a lot of people. He would have killed a lot more people.
He would have had a lot more.
This was 6 shooters, too.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And then I watched this haunted house story that just came out this last week on video on demand. It's called Relic. It's an Australian independent movie, and it's really good, actually. It's a ghost story about this mother and daughter that go visit the grandma, which is the mother of the mom visiting.
Mhm.
And the house they go to is kind of, I guess you would say it's haunted or has some kind of supernatural thing going on with it. So the grandmother is infested with this thing, and it's eating her up. So
Like literally eating her, or
Just eat it, eat it, eat it.
atta boy.
Yeah. Jerry's like, I'm done with these idiots.
no. Anyway, yeah, and some weird things happen, and the spirits start to take over the mom and daughter, and try to not let them leave the house and whatnot. It's a really weird but good movie. And also the new Netflix, another Netflix movie that's, I would say it's more popular than Hamilton, and that's The Old Guard.
Come on, Jerry.
Jeremy. Hey, I'm gonna give this to you. It was a damn good movie.
Yeah.
Damn
I
right.
loved it. But to say it's more popular than Hamilton, boy, you smoking that good.
Popular to I like how Jeremy's perspective like oversees the world. I respect
You
that.
damn
Jeremy.
right.
I like his style.
But yeah, The Old Guard's on Netflix. Check it out. Charlize Theron leads a team of unkillable people, and yeah, it's fun.
And it's Charlize Theron with the damn battle axe. That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. You remember when Aeon Flux came out and how badass that looked? And she kind of looks exactly the same as she did in Aeon
With her
Flux.
short hair,
She really does.
Short, dark hair. And I thought, man, but Aeon Flux was such a disappointing movie, and it wasn't anywhere near, the source material from which it was adapted. But this the Old Guard, apparently, I think the director of the movie was one of the creators of the book. I think I read that somewhere. I could be wrong, but to have that kind of insight is always great, and which is what made the movie so good.
Oh yeah,
yeah. The guy that wrote the script, he wrote the graphic novel it's based on.
There you go. That's exactly cool.
Very nice.
Yeah,
cool. Is that all you got, Jerome?
That's all I got.
Cool, man. All right. So on to me. Well, I has started. Me and Tasha have started Yellowstone. Oh, why have I been sleeping on this show? Jeez, it is so good, so good. We in a week we've gone through a season and a half. Given that the seasons are only 9 episodes, but so man, it's such an amazing show. I don't want to get caught up because then I have to wait. I want to wait till season 3 is over and then finish. Somewhere in there. Is it done after this season? Do you know, or is it still?
Oh no. Paramount extended the contract for I think 2 or 3 more seasons. It's the number 1 rated show on cable television right now, and it rains in the summer because nothing else really premieres on that level of filmmaking. And you almost name drop movie. You almost called it a movie, which is very safe to say because it's very cinematic in how it's filmed. Mm-hmm. It's very all the action is big, the drama is big, the cinematography of the sweeping landscape of the country so vast and just so good, and it has a great cast too. And
oh, absolutely. And
don't I remind you of Rip? Chris, I'm just like Rip, right?
Rip when he was a kid.
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
But man, it's such a good show. If you have not started it, go ahead and start it wherever you can find it. It airs on the Paramount channel, so you kind of may have to dig for it. But find it, watch it. It is worth it. I promise.
If you have Peacock, it was on the Peacock channel. If you have Comcast, so I saw that it was on there. So, do y'all have Comcast in Amarillo?
No.
Never mind.
Suddenlink,
Suddenlink and Suddenlink only.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
good stuff. Okay, and then I have caught up with Doom Patrol. And man, I almost want to say that this season is better than last season.
Yeah.
It is moving along quite nicely in Doom Patrol. If again, that's another show. If you have not started it, find it, watch it. It's on HBO Max. Now. So if you have HBO Max, check it out. Another superhero show I have been catching up with is Stargirl. I've caught up so much that I'm watching weekly now, which tonight there was an episode that dropped tonight, so I'll probably be watching it tomorrow. But that's good. That's been really, it's a good replacement for Arrow. Not as adult oriented as Arrow was, but it's still a good filler for now. I did watch the Old Guard, like Jeremy did, because of y'all's recommendation. I was putting it off until later, but the way y'all both talked about it, I was like, man, I better watch this before the next show because it needs to happen for sure.
I like how you phrase that, because it seems like there's a lot of stuff that drops every week, and with all the streaming services that we subscribe to, there's just so much that if you don't watch it right away, it's going to get lost in the shuffle. And you know, like when I'm talking about some of my stuff, like it's stuff that's been on my watch list for, years that I'm finally catching up to.
Yeah. So and I think that's about it, man. That's all that I remember. I never take Steven's recommendation on write this shit down when you watch it. So that's my bad.
It's only been 4 years, Chris. I think you haven't done it by now. If you don't know me by now,
you're never gonna know me.
Jeremy has a great voice, and if he just lets it fly,
lets
it flourish, we'll get him on before we end this show. We'll have him singing one song.
It will happen, Jeremy. It will.
Probably not.
All right, Steven, you're up. What do you got, man?
Buddy? Well, this is you guys' fault that it took 2 weeks. And not that's what is your fault, but it's your fault that I have a long list because of the 2 weeks. So here we go. The Old Guard, of course. I watched that Eurovision, the story of the Fire Saga on Netflix. The Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams comedy. Did you watch that, Chris?
Yeah, see, that's one I forgot because I wanted to forget that I watched it.
Yeah, it was really disappointing. It was bad. Some of it was okay.
It's Will Ferrell, and you're gonna laugh.
Well, and then the selling point, and then of course you have the major selling point, like all over the trailer from the director of The Wedding Crashers. So you're like, okay, well, this could work. No, it didn't work, and it was 2 hours long. Like, what comedy is 2 hours long? Like, they could have trimmed half an hour out of that and it would have been so much better for it. But me and Connor have been watching a lot of scary movies lately, and like, for example, he hadn't seen a bunch of movies like The Thing and Shaun of the Dead, so we watched those, and of course he loved him because he's my kid and has good taste. And watched this weird one on Hulu called Crawlers. Hulu has this Into the Dark film series that is a partnership with Blumhouse Productions, where it's just horror movies made directly for Hulu. And some of them are okay, I guess, but they're all seem to be holiday themed. Like Pilgrim is a Thanksgiving movie. Puka is this like monster and Christmas. We watched one. The Crawlers is set during St. Patty's Day, so it's almost as if like everything is catered to whatever holiday it happens to be in, and these aliens have green blood because it's St. Patty's Day, and I don't know, it was okay. Madison had never seen Adventureland, so I watched it with her, and of course, she sat through the whole thing because I knew she would like it. I don't ever put on a movie that I don't think Sonia or the kids wouldn't like. But Adventureland had Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart, Ryan Reynolds, where they work at Adventureland theme park. And man, I forgot how good that movie was. And
it is a good movie,
and the soundtrack's so good. But yeah, I love that movie. So shared it with Madison. Oh my gosh, HBO Max. It has so many things on there that old stuff that I'm watching, and they had that Going Clear, the story of Scientology documentary on there, and I watched that, and oh boy, that
thing's insane.
Yeah, it was a kook fest. I was just like, wow, all right, that's cool. Yeah, say what you will about that. That was interesting. I also would like to share, speaking of, idiotic Scientology stuff, Battlefield Earth is coming out on Blu-ray for the first time this September. And I think that me and maybe, Jeremy is the only other person excited to see that.
Not me.
Yeah, see, 2 out of 3 is not bad. I love that movie. I think it was stupid. It was dumb, but come on. It's pretty good.
Want lunch?
Have rat brains. And well, let's see what else. Me and Connor watched The Gallows Act 2, which was a sequel to The Gallows, which was a found footage horror film about these kids stuck in a theater that was haunted by a ghost. And much like the Blair Witch Project, what the sequel does is make the first one's a found footage film, right? Well, the sequel becomes a narrative like regular filmed movie, motion picture. Like, it's not found footage. They give it a plot, and it was okay, but nothing I would say was the best ever or anything like that. But okay. Me and Sonia finally watched the live action Lion King.
Just barely?
Yeah, we weren't necessarily hesitant or adamant about not watching it. It wasn't one of those things that we were trying to say, I will never watch the live action Lion King. I take a stand against it. Nothing like that. We just didn't care. And so we never wanted to. But then I told her one day, I was just like, let's just watch it. Let's just get out of the way. I will say, visual effects, CGI, flawless, amazing stuff. Looked fantastic. Everything else was just such a disappointment. I mean, there was no.
It's a shot-for-shot remake, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. There was nothing to. And as a matter of fact, not only was it pretty much a shot for shot, but the biggest problem that I had with it was like in Beauty and the Beast, the live action version of Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson. Like, there was no life in the characters. They didn't exuberate any kind of emotion. Like, Chiwetel Ejiofor played Scar, which. Okay, he's a great actor, but his voice work was terrible. He was just so quiet and sullen. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Jeremy Irons provided one of the best voice villains in the history of animation as Scar. I mean, that's tough shoes to fill, but you can at least try, and I don't know. And it just like all of it. And the things that they did change didn't bother me. Like, they gave Nala, who Beyonce voiced, some little extra stuff to work with. But other than that, man, it just was a shot for shot remake. And even the big music numbers were just like, I don't know, just it's difficult to try and adapt something like that. And I mean, it made a boatload of cash, made close to $2 billion worldwide. So I mean, they succeeded in that avenue. But as far as quality picture goes, I can't endorse it for that matter. But and then other than that, I watched a musical on Disney Plus that I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Jeremy, we'll talk about later.
Yeah, Jeremy's gonna go take a nap.
All right, cool. So we got a little bit of headlines, a bunch of sad ass headlines. At that, there have been a lot of deaths. here recently. Some of them, well, pretty much all of them are really unexpected. And man, it's just it's bad. But I'll let Steven give you a rundown of our in the memoriam.
Well, the first one that she wasn't pronounced dead yet, but Glee actress Naya Rivera was found or she wasn't found. She was missing, and apparently
Yeah,
she was
found now.
She has
Yeah,
now, but
her mom
initially,
was found.
initially she was just found, or she was. I keep saying found missing. That's such an oxymoron. No, she was missing, and they found her son on the boat. And after further review throughout the week, like this took over the course of the week. It wasn't just something that happened in a day. Like this, people were still looking for her body for what, like 5 days after the accident, and
Yeah.
eventually they found her. And I don't know, did you guys ever figure out what the determining cause? Because like
They still haven't released that yet. From what I read,
said something like she caught the undertow and drowned.
right, and that's what Sonia was saying, that I guess she was at Lake Ventura in California, and that they like I didn't realize that lakes had currents that pull you down that hard. I'd never really heard of that before. I know in the beach, Panama City Beach, there's always like accidents out there with the undertow, because if there's double red flags, don't go in the damn water. But then here go people traipsing along out there like they're Aquaman and think that they can, and they get swooped under there. But yeah, I'd never heard of that in a lake before. Like even growing up, like at Tanglewood and Meredith, I never heard of anything about like a current, but I guess it happens in a larger body of water. But yeah, that was the determining factor, that she was found dead. And but yeah, that was unfortunate. And it's funny that her character in Glee, she played Santana. Was it Lopez Santana? I know it was Santana, but she played like the very evil, wicked cheerleader, if you will, like the bad guy in many regards, and
girl,
and the ultimate foil to Rachel. I hate that character. Anyway, but she, like most cases, the people that play the worst characters on TV are usually the most beloved in the cast. Like, look at Dan Scott in One Tree Hill, Chris. Like, everybody always loved that guy and said he always would play pranks and jokes on everyone on set. Like, they just loved that guy. But he's like the most evil person ever.
Yes.
But in that regard. But we lost her, and then Kelly Preston, which was a big surprise because she lost a battle to breast cancer. And for celebrities, usually you hear about stuff like that, but man, for her battling for 2 years, apparently that was the information that John Travolta released to the public, that she had been battling it for 2 years, and they were able to keep that quiet until she inevitably lost. And man, that was pretty crazy, because Kelly Preston is an actress that, growing up, you see her in a lot of stuff, and like the 80s comedy Mischief and Jerry Maguire and Twins, and I mean, of course, there's just Jetstream and Sky High, which I love. But yeah, that was pretty surprising. And
doesn't she have a bit part in Battlefield Earth?
She does. She has the really long tongue that John Travolta likes.
That's right.
Yeah, you know what? That's why I'm purchasing. That's why I pre-ordered Battlefield Earth on Bluray in memoriam and respect to Kelly Preston. Her fine work.
All right,
but yeah, and then and of course, country music legend Charlie Daniels passes away. But I mean, he wasn't so much as a surprise. He's pretty seasoned, if you will.
Yeah.
But any songs of his, Chris, you would like to sing for the public?
Jeremy, this is all you, buddy.
No,
Okay.
I don't know any Charlie.
The devil went down
to Georgia. Yeah.
Look at that gold to steal.
That's a good one.
Better fiddle of gold against your soul.
There you go. See?
Come on, Jeremy.
That was under the rise of the rising sun.
You know you want to, Jeremy. Quit. Just get
dance on your bar like they did in Coyote Ugly to it. There he goes. We're whittling him down, Chris.
There you go.
And well, the next headline, Jeremy, I guess you'd have more information about it than I did.
And it's really not a headline.
It's
Since
more of a sad line.
Yes, had like a foot line.
and since things with COVID are getting worse, and Tenet is supposed to come out at the end of next month, do either of you really think it's going to?
No,
Because I don't.
I said we will be lucky to see a movie for the remainder of 2020. I'm definitely surprised. I'd be shocked if we did. The way things are going.
And so theoretically, what's Warner Brothers going to do with it? Are they going to delay it till Christmas?
HBO Max.
Well, see, Jeremy and I were having a discussion about that. How if they premiered on VOD or streaming services, they're going to lose out on so much money because a movie like Tenet is a $200 million budgeted film. It's a Nolan picture. The only way to recoup a financial, investment like that is to distribute it theatrically. And I think they'll hold it off a year if they have to. It's it's like Disney. Disney's pushing off everything because all of those pictures that they produce, Black Widow, Mulan, those are again $150 million pictures. Mm-hmm. The only way to make up those costs, because not everybody's going to sign up for Disney Plus that already hasn't to see Black Widow or Mulan, and they tried that with that Artemis Fowl. Granted, I heard that movie was trash, but
no good.
But that's why it got dumped on VOD.
Exactly, but they were intending to distribute that. But I think that was their scapegoat, if you will, to kind of see what the numbers would be like for something like that. Because I'm not familiar with the story too much, but I know it's a popular adapted novel, but or a novel series or something like that. But it was pretty bad. So they'll hold on to a movie for as long as they have to because. Man, if the theaters even survive this,
ever come back,
because
what's going to happen then? Like, are we just never going to get big budgeted movies ever again?
They'll have to work something out with Netflix and Prime, streaming companies that have the ability to pay for budgets like that. Because when you look at Prime, Hulu, and Netflix, and I guess Disney Plus too, like if you look at their original features. They look great. The quality is fantastic in every original. Like, for example, the Aeronauts on Prime. That movie looked like $100 million movie.
Oh, it was very beautiful.
And so, to facilitate those costs, that's where they rely on the, the people that are subscribing to their. But until that happens, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Sad time for cinephiles right now, for sure.
Yeah. But speaking of big premieres on a streaming platform, Hamilton, the musical, premiered on Disney Plus, making it the very first Broadway production to ever release its entire show on a streaming platform of that magnitude. Because you've never seen anything like Netflix or Prime doing something like that. I guess the closest that I can think of was Bruce Springsteen on Broadway when Netflix, premiered Springsteen on Broadway because that was his show. Other than that, I couldn't think of anything else. And thank you, Netflix, for that. But yeah, the streaming numbers were huge for Disney Plus last week. And I think they said Hamilton was their most streamed, I guess, quote unquote, original series, that something that wasn't already on the service prior to the launch, like their newest debut. And it shattered all of those records. Why wouldn't it?
I'm pretty sure everybody in the world watched it except Jeremy.
Yeah.
And Jeremy.
But it was just something. What is that word I'm looking for? Like culturally significant, I guess. Something that like a pop culturally significant is how I should say it. And I see Jeremy over there stewing. Just because it doesn't matter to Jeremy doesn't mean that it doesn't matter to the rest of the world. We talk about stuff like that all the time.
People are holding it up like it's this grand historical event. It's about Alexander Hamilton. If
I'm
you want to know,
Alexander Hamilton.
if you want to know about that dude, pick up a damn history book.
Nobody wants to read about Alexander
I want
Hamilton in a
people to
history
rap
book.
about Alexander Hamilton, Jeremy.
Well, that's the thing. Wow, I got a note here from Sue Webb, who is very heavily into the theatrical scene, if you will. She said 75 million paid to stream. So 75 million viewers, basically, that streamed Hamilton. Yeah, it's huge, man.
That's
Huge.
a lot.
Yeah. And Jeremy, it's just something, it's one of those things where you can't it's difficult to explain. It's not like people are out to see a story about Alexander Hamilton himself. It's not about that. Nobody cares about that per se. What it is the presentation that is given about the man is what's so polarizing here. It's how it's presented. It's not who it's presenting, it's how it's presented. It's like hip hop fused with amazing technicalities on stage, and it's just one of those things that even people that aren't a fan of Broadways and shows like that, it's very polar. Like, look at you, Chris. Like, you're not a big theater guy per se. I mean, how was your experience?
The only theater that I can honestly say that I have ever been to or anything was to go watch you in college.
Oh,
so that's the extent of my theater going experiences. But yeah, man, like, you hear about a show so much and how much people are just in love with it and how different it is from everything else that's out there. To me, you can't just help it like spark curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. And now for 2 weeks straight, I've like just listened to the soundtrack nonstop. My wife thinks I'm stupid because I just go around the house singing the soundtrack
today. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a correction here from Sue. She said that Disney paid $75 million for exclusive streaming rights for Hamilton so that it wouldn't be shown anywhere else. Wow, that is massively crazy.
That's a lot of money.
I wonder who gets that money. I guess Lin-Manuel probably receives quite a stipend for it. And she also says it's what Oklahoma and West Side Story did for the American musical. Very true. Yep. I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, and we actually had to do a little bit of backstory. We had to brush up on our history of Hamilton before we watched it because the kids were kind of like, what is his significance? His historical significance. I was like, okay, well, let's read it, because it covers his life pretty much. And I
have to say this too, and I didn't know this until after I watched it. A lot of the show is inaccurate to reality.
Sure.
And that kind of disappointed me. After I learned what reality was, I was like, "Oh, that's BS."
Well, it's just like any adapted novel or film. They're gonna enrich the story somehow and glorify it in certain ways and vilify it in others. And I think that's another thing about how Hamilton was presented, because he didn't give himself, the all-American hero paintbrush, if you will. Like, he had his faults and his infidelities and his lack of trust in certain people as far as his agenda and stuff like that. And I mean, but Jeremy, being a fan of hip hop, like, the hip hop is no joke in this movie or in this play, man. It's really, really good, man. And it's not like, how some musicals will rhyme for the sake of rhyming. It's like a nice, friendly, dude. I'm telling you, some of the, like, okay, for example, there's a scene with him and Thomas Jefferson. They're having a presidential debate, but how it's presented, instead of a traditional debate,
it's a battle.
It's a rap battle. It looks like Eminem and Papa Doc and 8 Mile. Like, it's really good. It's really good. And I don't know. I think if you watched it, because you're a smart dude and you've done a lot of history and studied a lot about that stuff, so I think it would really generate something in that appeal. It would really appeal to you. You just don't realize that
more
it would.
than you think it would. More than like the way you're looking at it, you're saying, "Oh shit, it's a musical. I'm never gonna watch this."
Oh yeah.
Give it 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
Well, since it's 3 hours long, I would have to just do it 30 minutes at a time.
Well, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. You get 20-minute grace period there.
And there's an intermission.
Yeah, there is an intermission. It's lovely. Oh, immigrants get the job done. Yep, that's right. That's one of the best lines in the whole show.
Heck yeah.
Good stuff. Oh, and before we move on, like I just wanted to because I know we were going to keep it short tonight, but like the technical aspect of it, they have what you call a rotating like a revolving stage, if you will. So there's a circular platform in the middle of the stage that spins, and it occurs to the someone's ringing.
Hello, it's
Alexander Hamilton. But and how they do the blocking in the stage, because it's just constantly moving, just a constant flow, and the blocking choreography, man, it's so fantastic, Oh, Nostalgic Pete says hello.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
But yeah, man,
Peter only came on because he sensed your bandana.
Oh yeah, that's a shout out to him. Oh, by the way, I also wanted to say that Connor finished Cobra Kai season 2 in like a day. So he was like asking me. He said, "Where's season 3?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I have no idea." And I'm hoping. And you know who his favorite character is? One of his favorite characters, because we watched the trilogy, and one of his favorite characters is Terry Silver from Part 3. I'm like, what? What are you
that dude?
Yeah, he just likes him. And I'm like, he's such a heel, man. He likes all the bad guys. And he's like, I just thought he was funny and so manipulative. And but
He's
yeah,
an asshole.
Yeah, I know. And I said, okay. And so he was like, well, season 3 should have Terry Silver and Mike Barnes show up, right? I'm like, well, I hope so. Yeah, Peter's like, Terry Silver.
Okay.
I'm okay. I don't know, man. These kids.
Blame the parenting.
Yeah. It's my fault because I'm like laughing at all the shit that he's doing because I'm like, man, this guy's a slime ball, man. He sucks. But oh yeah, Indeed by Lopan from Big Trouble. But yeah, so I'm glad he mentioned that, and I can't wait for season 3. Hopefully, it comes out on Netflix now. I guess that was
next year. I guess.
Yeah.
Back.
Sorry, man. Yes. They should make a Karate Kid musical.
Yeah.
Hey, man, with that soundtrack, it's possible,
Kung Fu dancing.
Hey, Van Damme does it in Kickboxer. I think anybody could,
Oh, that's true. Well, he does like drunken.
Yeah.
The memes that come off of that thing. Anyway, okay, so we're going to be talking about for the rest of the evening until we close out some of our favorite musicals. Did y'all want to do threes? 1, 2, 3, or let's just talk about it.
We could probably save like our threes for later, like another episode or something, because I really wanted to focus on Hamilton tonight just because of its main thing. But since we kind of knocked that out, it's just I don't know. I mean, are we talking about musicals that are actual musicals or like movie musicals? Because it's totally different. Okay, well, here's a question for you, like, open form, if you will. Is there a particular musical that that you would want to see adapted into a stage play? I mean, or into a movie?
Cats! With actual cats.
Man, have y'all watched that yet? Have you?
No.
I have it, and I'm gonna watch it. I just don't know.
Anybody out there like that is listening or watching, like, give us a thumbs up or something if you've watched Cats.
The movie,
the movie with T Swizzle
and Idris Elba.
No.
Idris Elba. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's a fair bet, to have it done correctly, if you will.
Yeah.
But oh, Jeremy, I know for a fact that if they adapted the Book of Mormon into a movie, you
Oh,
would be the first
dude,
to
I
see
would
it.
be all over it.
I knew it. I knew it. See, when I was living in New York, it had premiered on Broadway for the last month that I was living there. So every single seat, every single show was sold out that last month I lived there. So I couldn't go see it. And it was so frustrating because I was like, it's just one seat. I need soundtrack, kind of like Hamilton. I listened to the soundtrack. I was like, oh, that's really good. I was like, but you don't understand the context of which it's being delivered. But yeah, the Book of Mormon, I think, could be a really interesting movie. Same with Avenue Q. Like Avenue Q, if you're not familiar, it's like pretty much R-rated Sesame Street, R-rated Muppets, and I guess that's been kind of done before, but never to the extent of the book of Avenue Q. I don't know, man. I mean, there's just so many things that, and of course, you look at all the movies that have already come out, like Mamma Mia, Sweeney Todd. I mean, Jeremy, Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd's awesome.
I'm just trying to get him to talk about one of them.
Right, something.
I like Sweeney Todd. That's a musical I'll give an exception to because I enjoy it.
Yeah. That one
and Johnny Depp can sing, which is weird, but all right.
But yeah, that one was pretty good. Did you watch the Phantom of the Opera with Gerard Butler, the Schumacher, not to shit on Schumacher any more than we have in its passing the last few weeks, but
poor Joel.
It's his own damn fault, man. He's the one who's making these things. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, he likes Sweeney Todd, so that's good. But it was funny because, the Phantom of the Opera adaptation with Gerard Butler was okay. I mean, I still think that's one of the longest shows I've ever seen. No, I don't think it is one of the longest shows I've ever seen in my life. But if you're gonna watch it on Broadway, that's the way to watch it because holy cow. It was I think it was had 2 intermissions, if I'm not mistaken. We got free tickets. We got 2 free tickets from work, the company I work for in New York. They're like, hey, you want to go see Phantom of the Opera? I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm never going to turn down a show. And
should have.
Well, no, I don't regret the decision. But it was an 8:30 show or an 8 o'clock show, and it was over at I don't know. I want to say 11:30 midnight. It was pretty long. But
yeah, if it had 2 intermissions, I could see it being a 4.5 hour show.
I don't know. What other musicals do y'all guys remember that you'd think would make a good movie? I'm surprised they never made it. Oklahoma. That's always been so popular. They're remaking West Side Story. Spielberg's doing West Side Story. So, I mean, that's going to happen. But
isn't Spielberg just doing it like they did with Hamilton, pretty much just filming the stage play?
No. It's a full feature. He's adapting it. Yeah. Kind of like Hairspray, which wasn't bad. The new Hairspray wasn't bad. I don't know, Chris. What do you think? What are you thinking? Are you thinking anyone?
I'm looking. Le Miserable.
It is pronounced Les Miserables.
Les Miserables.
Yeah, like Miserables. It's the prequel to The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Well, that's had a couple of adaptations.
Yeah,
too.
that's had a couple.
Well, because what was that one with Liam Neeson in the 90s, and then the one that they did a couple of years ago with Hugh Jackman, which was good.
There is Oklahoma movie.
It's pretty old though, right?
1955, not that old.
Just a little old.
About when I was born, somewhere in there.
Yeah. You can shake the dust off that one and do it again. But I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where there's so many, and there's so many opportunities to make a new one of anything these days. And now with Hamilton being the success that it is, I guarantee you're going to be seeing a lot more of these.
It's going to open the floodgates, man. For sure.
Definitely. And Dear Evan Hansen is another really popular show that I'm sure we'll get an adaptation on screen. I mean, there's just so many.
I think one and this is way off of in left field, but Jeremy, if they ever did a Broadway musical based on Evil Dead, would you go watch that?
Probably not.
Shut up. You would. And Metallica is doing the music.
Yes. And Lin-Manuel's writing all the lyrics. Yeah. You would.
That would just be weird.
Yeah, it probably would be. I don't know. They make a musical out of anything now. They have Mean Girls, Heathers, Clueless. And Pete did say that actually are writing a Karate Kid musical, and he interviewed the music and lyrics composer. So there you go.
Damn, Peter, you're famous, bro.
I know, man.
When are we gonna get on that podcast level?
I know. You know what? You can slot him into my bottom square right here. Nostalgic Pete.
We'll get Pete down there at the bottom, Andre over here on the side, and then we're just done. And Jeremy, because he's the Twitter superstar. So me and Twitter are out.
He is Twitter.
You got that blue verified check mark yet?
Hell no.
He's climbing the ranks.
Oh shit! All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap us up for tonight. We are right at an hour-ish in there. So before we leave, any last Hamilton thoughts, Jeremy?
No, I'm good.
Of course.
Give it a shot, Jeremy. I do. I have some closing announcements.
I'm not going to throw away my shot.
I'm not going to throw away my shot. Just like Jeremy shouldn't either. You can borrow my. I'll make you an account on my Disney Plus account so you can watch it. And I'm going to use a Hamilton emoji icon.
And I'll make you one of them old coats so you can wear it while you watch it. Do you want to be a red coat?
That's the British. Those are the bad guys.
I know. He's a bad guy.
Jeremy would be the bad guy.
He's not an immigrant.
Dude, King George was amazing in that show.
Okay, so I read a little bit about the actor that played the king, because when we watched it, the dude spits a lot.
Oh yeah, that was gross.
And like, apparently somebody had asked him the same question. It was like, dude, you spit a lot. Why? He goes, that's just the way I am. That's when any show that he's ever been in, he said he just spits. And there was a point that they did a close up on his face while he's singing, and man, his spit just flying everywhere all over. I'm like, dude, that's gross.
It looked like Rocky getting punched in slow motion. That's like a good point before we close. Like, that's the one thing about the filming of a stage production is that's the one gripe that I had about it, was that you only see what they want you to see. Wherever the camera is pointing is the only thing that you get to see. And I don't know, that's something that, as someone who loves to see theater, I felt confined in that. And like, that's one of the most enjoyable qualities about seeing theater for me, is that I get to look at everything I want to see. I get to look at the choreography. I get to look at the backdrop of the sets and how they're engaging in the sets. Like, I get to choose who I want to see rather than what they want to show me. Because there were some really great moments on there where I'm like, pull the damn camera back. Like, I don't want to see up close. I want to see it far away. But yeah, whenever the spit from King George, which Sue said he's infamous for it, I thought, wow, this HD 4K shot of his drool flinging out, didn't do him any favors, but I thought that was kind of funny.
But it was funny, and I mean, it kind of goes with his character. I mean, he's over the top,
right?
I mean, talking about he's going to kill your friends and family
to prove his love.
Prove his love.
I'll kill your mother and daughter to prove my love. Yeah, oh gosh.
La, da, 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 da.
Oh, that's a part that I would love to play if I was, obviously gonna do Hamilton.
Ooh,
But,
okay. Before we leave and before we move on,
Mhm.
who would you assign Jeremy? What role would Jeremy play in Hamilton?
If we were casting the show,
Yes, if we were cast in this show, who would you put Jeremy as, and who would you put me as?
I'd put you as Lafayette. I would put Jeremy
It's George Washington.
as Aaron Burr.
I'm the damn fool that shot him.
Because he's the bad guy. But can I tell you? Okay, again, who was your favorite character in the show? Who did you like the most?
I like George, man.
Yeah, George Washington.
I really like George Washington.
I can see you doing as George Washington. My favorite was Leslie Odom, who plays Aaron Burr. Every time he was on the screen, I was just captivated by him. I think his voice was fantastic, and the Schuyler sister, the older, the one he doesn't marry, Angelica. Yeah, I get Elise Goodberry, something like that. Yeah. I was just mesmerized by her. I thought those two were so good. And those two are my probably favorite performers. Not my favorite characters, like Aaron Burr. Who likes Aaron Burr? Nobody likes Aaron Burr. Although you do feel some sympathy for him.
He's the damn fool that shot him.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the whole time. I'm like, when is he going to shoot him? When is he going to shoot him?
At the end.
I didn't know.
Hamilton dies. Like
I was gonna keep going.
It's like that. Bro. You know what I kept thinking about was that Got Milk commercial with the guy who's eating the cookie, and his mouth is stuffed, and they're like, the trivia question. If he can call and answer the trivia question, he wins like $1,000 or something like that. And he's on the phone. And they're like, who shot Alexander Hamilton? And he even has like a mural on his wall of the duel. And he's like, hey, Burr. Hey, Burr. He's trying to say, hey, Burr, but he's got his mouth full of cookies, and he needed milk to watch them.
It's actually peanut butter.
Is it? No.
No, it's peanut butter. Because the only reason I know this is because a good friend of ours, Katie Beth, she talks about this commercial all the time. It is hilarious and she acts out this commercial so good because when he's answering the question, he goes, in the way she does it, Bear.
Oh my god, it's so peanut butter, really?
Peanut butter, yeah, it's hilarious.
I'm gonna ask her about that, but I'm glad that Katie Beth and I are on the same level of taste in commercials. But yeah, I'll let you close this out, Chris. I'm done.
Okay. No, we got one more. There's one more question from Sue. Did you watch the bullet travel around the stage?
Oh, the choreography of that was incredible. Yeah, that and how it recaptures the entire story, their relationship. Man, I thought his son getting shot, his reaction in the revolving stage was great too. But then, man, that final bullet, how the dancers like holding it across, and oh my god, it was so good. Such great choreography, man. Jeremy,
something.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Anyway, all right. But guys, that does us for tonight. We are at an hour now, so we're going to try to cut this out. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for singing along with us tonight. And I know if you've seen the movie, you've been singing some verses with us as we're talking about Hamilton. I know it. But guys, again, thank you for joining us. And whether you're watching us live on Facebook or if you're catching the podcast on one of your podcast streaming platforms, go ahead and subscribe and join our Facebook group, everything that you're seeing us on. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. And then while you're here, if you can, please throw us a review. 5 stars would be great. It helps us get seen. And we're everywhere you can listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora. We're We are there. We are there. So tell your friends about us. Tell your friends to join us on our lives, just like Sue and Peter did tonight. And Michael apparently just hopped on. And
What's up, Mike?
Interact with us. It's so much fun when we get questions coming in and people interacting while we're doing the show. It's really, really fun. Then also, if you're in the social media world, go ahead and give us follows everywhere. Okay, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you look us up on Facebook and Instagram, all you got to do is search the Screen Addicts podcast. And on Facebook, if you search the Screen Addicts Fanatics group, get yourself added to that. That's where we're really the most active, dropping trailers, movie news, all sorts of funny shit. Because of Joey, our friend Joey, he's like 90% of the content there.
They give him a stipend.
Something. And then on Twitter, we have our own Twitter influencer here in this group. His name is Jeremy Marshall. Spit that Twitter handle, buddy. What is it?
At Jeremy Marshall.
There you go. Boom.
Simple.
Follow him. And then follow our Screen Addicts page as well. And all you have to do is search that. It's Screen_Addicts, and Addicts is spelled ADDICS. But other than that, guys, thanks again, and we will see you in a week, if not 2 weeks. So as for me, good night.
Adios, amigos.
Good evening.